Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to learn what is the integration runtime in Azure Data Factory. One of the viewer is asked theoretical session. So here I came with the theoretical session of what is integration runtime to understand it in Azure Data Factory. Then I'll show you how we can use it in what scenario, which integration runtime we have to use. Okay, so basically if I go to the if you have gone through, just in case, Microsoft document for the Azure integration runtime, you can see here. Okay, integration runtime, there is a very perfect document. If you have read it, then you will get a clarity. So what is basically, whenever in Azure Data Factory, as we know, that is a it's a kind of a ETL or ELT tool where we have move or copy our data from source to the destination. Okay, now when we talk about the source to destination, we have to consider in which environment we are talking about. Okay, source and destination, it could be in the public network or it could be from the private to public network. When I say public network, that means in cloud. Okay, so basically whenever we move or copy the data, okay, from the source to destination in different environment, then at the we will see in the Azure Data Studio that we will create a pipeline. Okay, and we in that pipeline is responsible to copy the data from source, but it is all on the cloud. But at the end, under the hood, there would be one system, there would be some computer where this particular things is been happening. Okay, where this that particular computer is having, I mean, this activity, to perform this activity we would have some CPU, we would need some kind of a computation, right? The server is needed, right? The system is needed to perform this activity. So that is what is given by the integration runtime. So it is nothing but a compute environment. It's a kind of a environment which is given by the Microsoft to you, so that all other infrastructure things, okay, compute things, you do not need to worry. You have to just set up whatever you wanted to in your Azure Data Factory, moving or copying the data from your source to destination, and where it is going to execute, on which server or which data center, okay, on which machine, with how, with what configuration, the capacity, the CPU, okay, the power. So all those stuffs you do not need to worry. That will be handled by the Microsoft Azure. That is what it is called, the fully managed. Okay, so if you gone through this line, see, IR is compute infrastructure. So in compute infrastructure means all the CPU, memory, how much memory is utilized, how much CPU is utilized to execute your activities, right? The pipeline which is used by the Azure Data Factory or and Azure Synapse Pipeline. So we have not covered yet what is Azure Synapse Pipeline, but I'll tell you that this integration runtime is a compute infrastructure which is used by both ADF pipelines and Azure Synapse Pipeline to provide the following capacities across the different network. So following capacity, will understand what kind of the capacities we will be able to execute across a different network environment. It's not about only the cloud. It could be a from cloud to private, from private to cloud. Okay, when I say private, that means your on premises environment. That is this laptop. I'm giving this recording, okay, in this laptop. So this laptop, when I open this, okay, my E drive, C drives, all this is my laptop, this is my private environment. If I move the data which is in my laptop, okay, which is in my local drive, if you see here in C or a D drive, I wanted to push that file or copy that file, okay, from my on premises, that is from my laptop, okay, to the cloud, as in when we go to this your URL. Okay, in your URL, if you see, it's an in URL. In this is we have a storage account, so there you wanted to dump your file, so that is called from private to public network. Okay, so that's why it is saying it is a kind of a compute infrastructure which is provided by the Microsoft Azure to perform the certain activities by ADF and Azure Synapse Pipeline. Now we'll discuss what are the activities that we can do. Okay, that is, first is data flow. We will be able to do the data flow in managed Azure compute environment. When we say manage, that is everything: CPU utilization, how many CPUs cores, right? Memories. This will be developed by this will be handled by the Microsoft. Okay, you do not need to worry. Suppose you have a less data to move, so Microsoft will understand, read the data. Okay, it's less data, so accordingly it will give the less code. If he have a millions of a recording of file, then accordingly it will auto scale. So this is something is managed by the Microsoft Azure. you do not need to worry, you do not need to do the configuration for that. Okay, so data flow is in one line I will say, if you have something to do the transformation of a data before moving into the destination from source, in that case you will use the data flow. I'll tell you in the later session, in the upcoming session, we will take a complete flow. What is the data flow? We will discuss how we can create all those stuff. Second is data movements. Data movement is just copy from the source to destination, okay, without doing any modification. If modification is there in between, then that is nothing but a data flow. So copy data across the data stores in public or private networks for both on premises or virtual private networks. So we could have two things. Okay, one is cloud, that is public network, and one is on premises. When I say on premises, I've already told. Okay, this is the E drive, D drive, this is my on premises. Okay, and we can have a virtual private network also. We can have a VM that we can set up. Virtual machine is kind of a separate machine that you have given, that has been given to you. So that is virtual private network. Okay, so first is data flow. This is the activity which is there. Data movement, activity dispatch. So dispatch and monitor transformation activities running on a variety of compute services. So in Azure we have a multiple compute services. Okay, like Azure Databricks, Azure HD Heights. So if you have the transformation which is not possible in your normal data flow in Azure Data Factory, which you wanted, a big transformation is there. So that you wanted to do in Azure Databricks, or so it will do the it will move your, or we can say we can, that particular type of the activity we will dispatch to your compute service. Okay, it will not going to run in an ADF, but it is going to run on your one of the compute service that will complete your requirement. That okay, so you can choose either a data breaks or a data hd hide. So these are the compute services which is available. Okay, fourth is SSIS is execution, package execution. So natively, when we say natively execute SSIS package in managed Azure compute environment. Natively means the SSIS package which has been created on your on premises. Okay, suppose you are working in organization, that time organization has provided you some kind of some two or three servers there, that servers on which they have a hardware, they have servers. In that servers you are creating your SSIS package and you are deploying it. Okay, so natively exercise package which is already been created, you wanted to execute it. Okay, not on your on-premises servers, but you wanted to execute it in your Azure cloud. So that, for that case, SSI integration runtime is required. So for these activities, integration runtime is required to give the compute environment so that these activities will be executed. This kind of the uh, what do you call data integration capabilities will be completed, will be possible. Okay, so this is basically what is the integration runtime. Okay, that you I hope you understand. Okay, there is one more thing that you have to concentrate. I'm not going through the entire document to make you understand, but there are a lot of few things that you should not ignore in this document. Like this, allow the activities to perform in the closest possible region in the target data store, okay, or compute service to maximize performance while allowing flexibility to meet security and compliance requirements. So there is a big thing here. It is trying to say that instead of giving the integration capabilities to our pipelines, there is one more thing that it provides. The runtime provide is it will try to run your activities, your pipelines, right? Your data flow activity, your activity dispatch, data movement activities, all this stuff. It 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 try to execute those activities the closest possible reason to the target data store. Okay, whatever, suppose your source region is east US and target is India US, suppose India South India something. Okay, so it will try. This integration runtime has the responsibility to execute your pipeline in the closest region where you are sitting. Okay, where you have your you have selected the location, right? So it will try to execute your pipeline in the closest possible reason. Suppose that reason is engaged, okay, and it is not possible, so it will try to execute a nearest. Suppose South India is very data center is very busy that time when you try to execute your pipeline. That time what will do, integration runtime try to execute in South India region, okay, but if it is busy, then what it will do, it will try to execute it into the nearest possible data store, that is east, suppose sorry, India east, okay, east region. So that is what is been taken care by the integration runtime behind the curtains, okay, you do not need to worry about it. And why it will do that? Because it will maximize the performance of your activity, it will ensure that it will maximize the performance. So that is the reason it will calculate, it will check the data center capability at that time, and it will try to execute your pipeline in the closest possible region to give the better performance without compromising any security and compliance requirement, okay. So this is the two things that we will we should know about the integration runtime. Now coming straight to the what type of the integration runtime that Microsoft Azure provide to us, there are three types of the, you can say, Azure self-hosted, Azure SSIS. So I'll tell you in one line. uh, Azure is something when you move the data, okay, when you are doing the data integration capabilities from source to target within the cloud, okay. If both your source and destination is within the cloud, then Azure integration runtime will be used. If you are trying to do the data integration capabilities or data movement, okay, from your private or virtual network to your cloud, then self-hosted integration runtime will be used, because that type of the integration runtime makes sure it will give you different type of the compute infrastructure. Okay, so based on your requirement, we have to select the different integration runtime. Now the third is Azure SSIS. This is basically designed. This is basically for executing your SSIS package, which is created natively. So we have three types of integration runtime. Okay, and so you, I open the notepad. If you see here, so suppose if this is your source, okay, and this is your destination. So both source and destination, suppose these are in the cloud, okay, both are in cloud here. Then Azure integration runtime will be used, or we can say auto integration runtime will be used. That is by default is been created when you create a very fresh instance of the data factory. Okay, then auto resolve integration will be provided to us. So okay, so if your source and destination both is in within the cloud, then Azure integration runtime or auto resolve integration runtime will be used. Okay, if your source, sorry, suppose your source is in and this is your target, okay, destination or target, whatever you would like to call. So if this is your what do you call, this is your private network, okay, private your system, suppose, or you have some VM virtual machine setup. So you have that virtual machine, and your destination is only cloud, okay. If this is a cloud, this is a cloud. So if data movement is been done from source to destination, from private network to cloud, in that case, this entire scenario, to perform this entire activity, we need self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, that is this thing, self-hosted integration runtime. This type of, to compute this for this type of infrastructure, we need the self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, if you have a SSIS package. Okay, similarly, if instead of source you have in suppose your SSIS package. Okay, let me try to remove this thing. Okay, it's okay, leave it. Intention is to make you understand. Okay. Mm. So instead of source, if we have SSIS package here in the in either in the private or in your virtual machine. In that case, you wanted to execute that particular SSIS package in your cloud, not in your private network or not in your virtual machine. You wanted to pull that, or you wanted to drag that SSIS package in your cloud, and here in the cloud you wanted to execute. In that case, the compute infrastructure is required. That compute infrastructure will be governed by SSIS, Azure SSIS integration runtime. So in that case, to perform that activity, we have to do the Azure SSIS integration. We have to use that integration runtime. Now we'll go to the Azure portal, and I'll show you from where you can see this. So I have this Azure portal. Okay, here I have created one storage account, and we have one Azure Data Factory instance that I have created. I have opened it studio. If you see here, okay, sorry, if you go to the monitor, sorry, go to the manage tab. Here, if you go to your integration runtime, so here if you can see, we have auto resolve integration runtime. This is by default. I have not created any pipeline. I have freshly created the ADF instance. So this is auto resolve integration runtime. If I try to click, and this, see, reason is auto resolve. What does that mean? That at the runtime, as Microsoft Azure will decide at what reason it is going to execute your activity. So that's why it is auto resolve. Okay. Now if I try to open it, and I try to see here, and here I also say that it will say that data factory manage the integration runtime in Azure to connect to required data source or destination or external compute in the public network. So this is all set. If I try to click on new, there you will get the type of integration runtime. So here it will give a nice only one line statement that integration runtime is the native compute used to execute a dispatch activity. Choose what integration runtime you wanted to create based on your required capability. So here if you see, here you can see the two type of integration runtime. One is Azure comma self-hosted, and second is Azure SSIS. But when you click it here, it is two integration runtime. One is Azure and one is self-hosted. Perform. So here if you see, perform data flow, data movement, dispatch activities to external compute. And this is basically Azure SSIS is completely different. Lift and shift the existing SSIS package to execute in Azure. That means whatever the SSIS package is there in the private, it will lift it and shift to your cloud, and then it will execute it. So that is, for that purpose you will use this SSIS, Azure SSIS. If I click on this and click on continue, so here if you see, now they have segregated it. Now they are asking which type of network environment you want, what type of the requirement for your pipeline is. Okay, what is the requirement of your pipeline? So use this for running data flows, data movement, external pipeline activities in fully managed serverless compute. So it's a fully managed. Okay, that means it is fully managed, done by the Azure in the in cloud, public cloud. Okay, use this for running activities in on-premises private network. Okay, so this is self-hosted. So this, for that we will use the self-hosted. Okay, and here we can see the linked self-hosted. This I will take it further, otherwise you guys get confused. So till now you will you can understand the integration runtime is of three types: Azure, self-hosted, and if you go back, then that is Azure SSIS package. Okay, so here if I click cancel, let me create a new SSIS package. Oh sorry, create a new integration runtime. I wanted to, what I'm going to do, I'll create one pipeline and move the data from one CSV file from one blob storage to another blob storage location, and for that I will use the Azure integration runtime. So I want this one. So integration runtime, I'll see it as a public because it is I'll give this name, integration runtime. Let me give this name, integration runtime. Okay, used to do, let's copy activity in cloud. Okay, so reason it is saying auto resolve. If you wanted to execute uh, deliberately, if you wanted to execute your activity to be performed, to be executed in this particular result, then you can have a option to choose it. Otherwise you can make it as a auto result. So let me create it, and here if you see, this is a, by default it is type Azure, you cannot change it. Okay, create it, See here, IR public, the new integration runtime has been created and reason is auto result. Now I will use this integration runtime to perform one activity in my pipeline. So I'll go to the author tab here. Okay, I'm creating a pipeline which is trying to copy the file from blob to blob location. Okay, so here I have one storage account which I have created here. So what I'll do, the file is not been loaded to the storage account. Let me do that first quickly. So in storage account we have a container. So let me create a two container here, input container and output folder container. So what I'm going to do, I will upload some file in the input and then I will with the help of Azure Data Factory, I will copy the file from input to output container. So that is and that we will do with the help of integration, Azure integration runtime. If you see input folder, so I'll go to the input folder and upload some files. So I'll go here, click on upload folder. It is asking me to upload file from your location. So let me take this customer data only. Click on upload. I wanted to load it. So it's been loaded. If you click here, close this, you will click on add it. You will see the content of the file what we have in this data. We have two records only, that is fine. Okay, now close it. So what will if you go back here, okay, see in the output folder there is nothing. Okay, no file is there. So we wanted to move that file. Okay, copy that from file from input to output. So here minimize this to get a better visibility. Come here, go to source and we have to create a data source. So just give me a 2 minutes, I'll create it quickly. And this is my CSV file. I have selected data set CSV and link services. I need to create a link service. So linked service blob. Okay, and here I need to select my subscription. This is my storage name, that is fine. I need to test connection. I need to check whether the I'm trying with my subscription is able to connect to this linked service, that is fine. Created, linked service is connected, created and is been mapped with the data set. See, it is mapped with the data set which I have created. Now it's trying to ask me what is the path of your file which you wanted to choose in your source. So I wanted to choose this customer.csv file as my source. So everything is set up. Click on OK. You see, this is the data source file. Everything is done. Now go to the sync, configure the sync. Here the sync data set is we have to change it, okay, because we wanted to some other location, that is output. So this will be your data set output. Let's say give this name. Link servers will be the same, and we have to give the location where do you wanted to push this file to. So I have select the output folder, click on OK. So my sync is also being configured. So what is happening here? What is happening here? If you go to your sync data set, okay, and if you go to your related, wait, if you maximize here, this is the linked service, okay. If you click on add it, if you see here, connect via the integration runtime. So that is by default auto resolve integration runtime. I wanted the IR public, which recently we have created. So use this, apply this. This we have used for DS output. Now go to your pipeline and do the same for your source one as well. So open the source, go here and integration runtime. Okay, integration runtime is same. Oh, sorry, link service is same. So we have changed it in the output. It is also reflected in the this one out. What do you call source input as well? Okay, so that is fine. If you try to make a connection, so see here, earlier when we used the auto resolve integration runtime is also a Azure runtime, and it is and it allow us to connect with our linked service location, okay, blob storage. So integration runtime which we have created, it also allow us to connect to our blob storage. So that is fine. Click on cancel. Now go to here publish all because I have not configured with a Git repository. In case if you do not know what is the Git repository and how we can configure it, I have already made that what do you call a session for it. Please go and check that. So I'm going to try to I'm going to manually execute it. Okay, and it will use our integration runtime, the new one. Okay, not the auto resolve integration runtime, and it will it should execute successfully. Let's see. So I have executed it manually. Okay, and it is in queued state. I have refreshed it. Whenever you run the pipeline, a pipeline run ID will be created here. Okay, see, it is succeeded. Okay, it is succeeded. If you see here, so if you go back and check in the auto resolve in your container in the output and check whether the file is been moved or not. So see, the file is been moved. Okay, customer data.csv file is been moved. So this way you can choose your integration runtime. Okay, you can create your integration runtime, and this integration runtime will be used in defining your linked service. And linked service is is nothing like but like a connection string to your data store. In our pipeline, data store is nothing but a blob storage, and we have created a link service which will try to connect to the blob storage, and we use the what do you call the source SSIS, not this SSIS, Azure integration, IR public integration runtime. Okay, so that is what we have done. So if you wanted to see how many data has been written, everything, you can see one record has been, one file is there. Okay, one file has been written. So here you can see if you wanted to see data integration units, how many used, it is used by default, it is 4. So it has been used the 4 data integration units, as we have there is no parallel copies, only one, because we have a very less data into that file. So that is the case. So this way you can create. So here if you see, there is two ways you can create integration runtime, either from the manage tab or you can create a integration runtime right away when you create your pipeline. Whenever it required in a link service, you can have an option to create an new integration runtime, and there you can use it. Okay, so this way I think you got an self-hosted integration runtime and Azure SSIS integration runtime. I will cover in the next session because this session is going a little bit lengthy. So in the next session, I'll show you how to load the file from the on-premises to our public environment using the self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, and how we can do that. So practically that would be the scenario. Practically I'll show you. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day. Till the time, please happy learning.